Hello YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brian from NY Blade EDC, and on the table today I have a comparison video for you guys. Instead of my typical reviews, I'm going to try something different here and do a little comparison. So on the table I have the Hinderer Firetac and the Sebenza 21 large version. As you can tell, it's not the plain Jane, so it's not equivalent as this is the plain model versus if this was the titanium. All this is just a carbon fiber scale. It's nothing different. Other than that, inside eternally, it is the same knife. So, that being said, with the stats, I looked up the plain Jane stats. This one would be a little lighter, but that's about it. So, let's get into a comparison of blade length. They are both 3.62 inches overall blade length. I believe the Hinderer actually has a hair more cutting surface, which is like minuscule, so you don't have to worry about that much. Now onto the handle length. The Sebenza is 4.79 inches and the Firetac is 4.625, so it's a hair shorter in the handle. And that's just due because this part comes out a little farther, and that's it. Overall length, you got 8.35 inches to the 8.25. So they're in the same ballpark. They're only a tenth of an inch off of each other. So they're dang near the same size. The blade thickness. So I made sure to go on and get some blade thickness stats for you guys. So the thickness on the Sebenza is 0.121 inches. And on the Hinderer Firetac, it's 0.14. So the Firetac's a hair thicker in the blade stock. Blade steel, the Sebenza, as you guys know, they only run S35VN. I've heard in the future they're going to be offering some other things. The Firetac runs 20CV. As you can see, USA CPM 20CV. I love that. It's my favorite steel. Both very adequate steels. I like the S35 because it's a hair easier to sharpen. 20CV is still not hard, but compared these two, this would definitely be easier to sharpen and quicker to sharpen. Blade steel, I just talked about that. That's my fault. I'm reading the wrong thing. Blade shape and grind. So this on CRK's website is a drop point, but technically some people call it clip point. I would not call it a clip point. That'd be a drop point to me. It doesn't clip enough to be considered a clip point. So to me, drop point, and it's got that nice hollow grind on there. You can't really see it. Maybe a little bit right there. You can see the warp, but yeah, it's a hollow grind. And for the Firetac, you got a drop point with a nice tall flat grind, or saber grind. I don't know, some people call it differently. I would say a flat grind, but it's pretty good. Both of them are awesome. I still think the Sebenza is a little better at cutting and slicing through things, but this is definitely not bad at all. Definitely cuts very well. Moving on, we got handle thickness, 4.6 inches, or 4.6, geez, that'd be a really fat knife. 0.46 inches on the Sebenza compared to 0.45. So actually, the Hinderer has thicker blade stock, but a thinner handle by marginal amount, but definitely opposite. So the blade stock on the Sebenza is thinner, and the handle on the Firetac is a hair thicker, literally a hair. So that's pretty cool. Getting on to the weight. So for the plain Jane, not this one probably weighs less, I believe. Just going off, this one definitely feels like it weighs less, but this weighs 4.69 ounces with the plain Jane 2 titanium scales, and this weighs 4.19 ounces. So off the bat, this one actually came with a micarta scale that I took off of it, so it would have been lighter, but it's definitely lighter compared to the plain Jane versions in their stock form, how they come from the dealers. So that's pretty cool. I like the weights on both of them. Definitely very light knives, and Moving on to the pivot. So this is running on phosphorus bronze washers, and this one is on Teflon, and I'll get on that later. But some people hate Teflon, some people dislike phosphorus bronze. It's all preference, but I'll give you guys some thoughts on that later. And onto deployment. So as you guys can see, stud deployment and thumb disc. I prefer the stud, but again, we'll get into that later. And the lock. So they're both frame locks, as you guys can see. This one's got a lock bar insert, and this one does not. So that's a key difference there. And this is made in Idaho, USA, and this is made in Ohio, USA. Both awesome places to get knives from. Idaho has Chris Reeve and Koenig. Ohio's got Hinder. I don't know, there's some more, I think. But two great states for knives. And price for the plain Jane, $450. So you can get the different models that have higher price tags, like this one I believe is $550 from the dealer. This is Knife Arts exclusive, so I believe it was $550, and this one's $425, and that's the only version they have, just the G10 plain with the working finish or stonewash. They're the same price. So yeah, the Sebenza definitely has a wider range of models within its model category, or model catalog. That's the word I was looking for. But all right, into my thoughts here. These two knives are simple designs. They're made to be quality cutting tools. They're both made in the USA. They're both fantastic. I can't say a bad thing about either one of these knives. I believe between these two, for quality, for the price that you're getting them at, you can't beat it. It's just Chris Reeve reproduces that quality time and time again, and it's just perfect. And Hinder does it as well, very well. Has a few bad apples every once in a while, especially lockstick. That's their downfall. They have some bad lockstick every once in a while, but majority of the Hinders I've handled have been fantastic on their quality control and everything. So like I said earlier, these are phosphorus bronze and Teflon. I believe phosphorus bronze are better for me personally because they have more longevity, and they're tougher, and the lubrication, like the knife pivot lube that I use, works very well on it. But the grease they give you with the knife is what gives you that nice smooth action and glass-like. So comboed with the grease and the pivot, the phosphorus bronze washers, this has an awesome action. But the Teflon, once Teflon breaks in, I believe is smoother. But like I said, the longevity is where my issue comes into play. And I'm constantly flipping my knives. I'm a very fidgety person. As you guys can tell, I like to touch the knives while I'm filming. So, and it probably drives a few of you nuts, but that's just how I am. So Teflon, I feel like I wouldn't break through them, but it's just like I don't want to have to replace them is my thing. So I would go with phosphorus bronze over the Teflon. But let's move on from that. So detent on both of these knives. So the detent on my Sebenza, this specific one, is a bit weak. I can flip it out like that, and I can definitely roll it, but I can break the detent by that little tab, as you can see right there. I was able to break that detent. I prefer my detent to be a little stronger than that, not like hard, but stronger than that. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, as in my last video. But the detent on this Hinder is absolutely perfect. I've had a few Hinders that the detent is immaculate. So this one is one of them. It's just put a little effort into it and it goes flying open. Thumb disc, same thing. So it's just perfect. I have no complaints on that detent whatsoever. Moving on, single thumb stud. So the deployment, single thumb stud, to me, is a good looking design, but for actual functionality, I'm right-handed and this is a right-handed knife. So if my right hand is taken up and I have to open this knife, there's no thumb stud on the back. Yes, they make dual thumb studs and they make the models that come with them, but this one specifically is a single hand knife, right hand only. And that's a bit of a inconvenience as compared to the thumb disc. You have ambidextric use. You can use it right-handed. I'm not very good left-handed, but I can actuate it, as you can see, and I can actually close it left-handed. So with this, it's right hand only, but I can close it left-handed. It's a little funky for me because I don't do it often, but I can do it closing it. Opening it, you cannot. So I'm sure there's some people that are going to comment, you can just flick the blade open if the detent's weak. No, I don't like to flick my knives because I don't want to drop it or throw it. So I just calmly open it. Plus, I don't want to freak people out. So, but like I said, that's a perk for the thumb disc. It's a little more, it's ambidextric compared to the single thumb stud. But like I said, I do prefer the look of the single thumb stud to the disc. I just don't really care for the looks of the disc. But alrighty, moving on. Again, these lock bar relief cutouts. As you can see, the Chris Reeve is internal and the Hinderer is external. It doesn't really hurt pulling or putting your knife back in your pocket. Occasionally I feel it catch up, but it's not a hard edge. So they kind of rounded it so it doesn't catch and tear up your pants. So that's good. It's not bad. But I've noticed with the internal, my knife slides in and out of my pants with absolutely no hang-ups, nothing. So that was a pretty cool ingenuity thing that they did, was making that internal. So that's pretty cool. But with that being said, we're on to the conclusions. As you guys can see, very similar knives. Both fantastic. They're both made in the USA. Simple designs, quality made. Chris Reeve and Rick Hinderer are both very what's the word? Just like how I think Mick Strider would be in Medford. I can't think of the word, Jesus. I think they're fantastic people. That's what I'm trying to say with a different word, but fantastic makers. Their companies are great. They're both good on their service. Their customer service is great. Chris Reeve allows you to send a knife in to get it refinished and have a spot treatment. I don't believe Hinderer does that. That's actually something I have to look into. I haven't had to do it yet, but it's still cool to have that option. But with that being said, my personal choice would be the Sebenza. I think the Sebenza is just a classic design, and Chris Reeve puts out quality time and time again, as does Hinderer, but I think Chris Reeve just does it a little better. And with him starting to offer the higher grade steels, I've heard even to the likes of like M390 or 20 CV, and that would be pretty awesome. But he's just doing it great. You know, I think the Sebenza is a timeless design. It'll be around forever. The 31s are having their issues, but the 21 is still fantastic. Everybody loves them, typically. Let me not say everybody, but typically most of the people that handle one love them. There's those few people, it's too plain, it's too plain. Wow, it's a knife. What do you want? So that being said, Chris Reeve in my books for the Sebenza versus the Firetac, the Sebenza wins. It's neck and neck. They're identical knives. They perform very similarly. They have very similar sizes and they carry the same way. So, yep, let me stop rambling and make this video as short as I can make it, which is pretty long already. So I want to thank you guys for watching, hanging out. If you're not subbed, please do so. Leave a like or a comment, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Thanks.